Kevin Spacey now says he is literally homeless and living in Cyprus, where he's working as a nightclub singer. In a new interview,
where I have been living in Baltimore is being foreclosed on, and my house is being sold at auction.
Why is it being foreclosed?
Because I can't pay the bills that I owe.
There's a lot for me to process.
Hollywood has seen plenty of twists over the years, but very few people expected the fall of Kevin Spacey to take a turn this dramatic. One moment, he was one of the most celebrated actors of his generation, and now he's admitting that he literally has no home of his own. Not homeless on the street, but drifting from hotel to hotel, living out of suitcases, and trying to rebuild a career that once seemed unstoppable. If you want more deep dives into stories like this, make sure you hit like, tap subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. Because this situation is way more complicated than a single headline.
It's been over a year since Kevin Spacey's tearful confession on Piers Morgan Uncensored.
I'm not quite sure where I'm going to live now.
For anyone who remembers the height of Kevin Spacey's career, this shift is almost surreal. He was a two-time Oscar winner, a respected lead in Hollywood, and the face of one of Netflix's biggest early hits. His resume was stacked with prestige, influence, and a reputation for being one of the most talented actors of his generation. But everything changed when multiple allegations surfaced in 2017, triggering investigations, lawsuits, and a wave of public backlash that completely reshaped his image. The man who once had the entire industry at his feet suddenly found himself shut out from the projects and studios that had once welcomed him.
Living in hotels, I'm living in Airbnbs. I literally have no home. Over these last 7 years have been astronomical. I've had very little coming in and everything going out.
How many do you have?
None.
In the years that followed, Spacey watched as his career collapsed in real time. Roles were recast, films were re-edited to remove him, and studios quietly erased his presence from their future plans. Netflix cut ties with him, major directors kept their distance, and even finished movies decided to replace him entirely rather than proceed with his name attached. The collapse was fast and brutal, and the financial impact was huge. Legal costs mounted, income dried up, and contracts disappeared overnight. The industry that had once championed his talent now treated his name as a liability. That is the context behind his latest shocking revelation. In a recent interview, Spacey said plainly, "I literally have no home." He explained that for the past few years, everything he owns has been in storage while he moves between hotels, rentals, and short-term stays. The media grabbed that line and ran with it, painting him as a homeless, former megastar. It was the kind of headline that spreads fast, a once powerful Hollywood figure now drifting without a permanent address.
I feel it would be disingenuous of me to allow you to believe that I am indeed homeless. I said I was basically living in hotels and Airbnbs and going where the work is, just as I did when I first started out in this business. And there are many people, as we all know, who are indeed actually living on the streets or in their cars or in terrible financial situations, and my heart goes out to them.
As the story blew up, Spacey quickly tried to clarify what he meant. He said he is not homeless in the sense of living on the street or without resources, but that he is effectively transient, always on the move, never settled, and unsure where his long-term base will be. He made it clear that he has places to stay, but he no longer has one stable home that he owns or feels rooted in. For someone who once had property, power, and security, even that version of no home is a big fall from the top.
the actor said that he no longer has a permanent place to live after facing years of legal battles and mounting financial strain. Spacey told reporters that he's been going where the work is, performing in a small cabaret-style venue overseas while trying to rebuild his life and career. He also revealed he's been relying on friends for temporary places to stay, saying, "I've been couch surfing. I have no home of my own." Well, Spacey maintains his innocence, but the fallout from multiple allegations has pushed him far from Hollywood as he works to make a living and figure out his next chapter.
Still, even with that clarification, the phrase stuck. The idea of an A-list actor without a home of his own was simply too striking to ignore. Some people reacted with genuine sympathy, saying that no matter what they think of him, watching someone lose everything is unsettling. Others reacted with skepticism, arguing that this was a carefully crafted narrative designed to make audiences feel sorry for him and smooth the way for a comeback. The divide in public opinion showed just how polarizing his name still is. Financially, his situation appears to be under serious strain. Spacey has admitted that the legal costs over the past several years have been astronomical. Lawsuits, court appearances, lawyers, travel, and everything that comes with defending himself have taken a massive toll. At the same time, the work that once funded his lifestyle vanished. Studio checks stopped. Big contracts collapsed. Endorsements disappeared. He even had to sell his longtime Baltimore home, a property that once symbolized stability away from the chaos of Hollywood.
Get back on the horse. Get back on the horse.
That's all I have to say for the moment.
Even though he has been cleared in some legal cases, the damage to his career and reputation was already done. In Hollywood, public perception often matters more than any courtroom outcome. Studios worry about backlash. Streaming platforms fear social media storms. Directors calculate whether an actor's presence will help or hurt a project before the cameras ever roll. According to Spacey, there are powerful people who privately say they would love to work with him, but no one wants to be the first to step out and make that move in public. Despite all this, Spacey hasn't vanished from the entertainment world entirely. Over the last couple of years, he has been taking smaller steps back into performing. He has appeared in independent European productions, staged dramatic readings, and performed at events in places like Italy and Cyprus. These are not the blockbuster roles he once had, but they show that he is still chasing the work and still believes there is an audience for him somewhere, even if it is outside the Hollywood system that once made him a star.
We're in touch with some extremely powerful people who want to put me back to work, and that will happen in its right time. Scorsese or Quentin Tarantino call my manager Evan Lowenstein tomorrow. My exile will be over.
In interviews, he has said that all it would take is one big director to bring him back into the mainstream. He has name-dropped people like Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino as examples of filmmakers whose support could instantly change his narrative. In his mind, one significant role in the right project would be enough to flip the conversation from scandal to comeback. Whether that is realistic or just hopeful thinking, it gives a glimpse into how he views his own story, not as finished, but as paused.
I hope that everyone who's dealing with these sorts of situations does feel the courage to come forward.
The way the public has responded to his no-home admission reveals a lot about how we see celebrities when they fall. Some people immediately humanized him, saying that losing your home and stability, even when you are famous, is still painful. Others pointed out that millions of ordinary people live with housing insecurity or financial stress without any coverage or empathy. To them, a wealthy actor downsizing from luxury to instability is not the same as what everyday people face. The media's role in this saga is just as interesting. By stripping his quote down to the phrase, "I have no home," and presenting it without full context, many outlets created a more dramatic version of the story that grabbed attention instantly. When Spacey later clarified that he was not homeless in the usual sense, it sparked another round of coverage, debate, and speculation. Was the media twisting his words for clicks? Or was he trying to soften a very real financial crisis by framing it more carefully?
I'm enormously grateful to the jury for having taken the time to examine all of the evidence and all of the facts carefully before they reach their decision.
Regardless of which side someone believes, the situation forces a bigger question about fame, power, and the cost of scandal. When a person rises as high as Kevin Spacey did and then falls as hard as he has, is there ever a realistic path back? Some celebrities have managed to slowly rebuild their careers after controversy. Others vanish forever, remembered more for the scandal than their work. Spacey's future seems to hang in that uncertain space between those two outcomes. Some industry watchers believe that he may slowly rebuild a career in Europe or in independent projects where the pressure from American media is lower. Others think the stain on his reputation is simply too strong for major studios or platforms to touch him again. But Spacey continues to speak as if a comeback is not just possible, but inevitable. He talks about waiting for the right call, the right script, the right moment when someone decides to take the risk of working with him publicly. What makes his story so striking now is how completely his lifestyle has changed. There are no major premieres, no Hollywood mansions, no endless red carpet appearances. Instead, he describes a life that fits into a handful of suitcases, moving from place to place, chasing work wherever he can find it. At an age when many actors are focused on their legacy and lifetime achievement awards, he is focused on survival and reinvention. It is a harsh reminder that fame is not a permanent shield against real-world consequences. And yet, there is something undeniably compelling about the fact that he keeps going. He has not crawled away from the spotlight, and he has not stopped talking about his career. He is still performing, still giving interviews, still insisting that his story is not over. Whether people view that as determination, arrogance, or resilience depends entirely on how they see him. But that refusal to disappear keeps his name circulating and keeps the conversation about him alive. In the end, Kevin Spacey's admission that he has no home of his own is more than just a headline. It is a symbol of how far he has fallen from the days when he was one of Hollywood's most powerful and respected actors. It reflects not only financial strain and career collapse, but also the emotional shock of watching an entire life structure crumble. It leaves open a big question. Is this the final chapter of his story? Or is it the darkest point before a comeback that no one sees coming yet? If you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure you hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you do not miss the next deep dive into the stories behind the headlines.